Alright, Walmart, see if they got anything that gets our interest that we haven't looked at yet. Oh, I actually see a spot for Ozark Trail, $7.97 something. Ozark Trail inside the case. I'd like to check out what that is. Can't imagine anything too great. Most of their stuff is usually out on hanging on the rack, but if I can get somebody to help me out, I'll see if they got one of those, whatever that is. If they got one maybe back there that they can let me see what it looks like, and then we'll have a look at it. Alright, as you've seen, I was at Walmart, and as I always do when I'm there, we'll meander back to the sporting goods section, look at cool stuff, knives and everything. So you seen, we did look through the knives, and we seen a Ozark Trail that was in the case actually, and then we seen one on the little roundabout that we picked up. This one's about $8. This one's about $5. So what we'll do is just kind of look and see what you can get. I'm pretty familiar with the ones that they have in their blister packs, that, you know, the $5 knives like that one. Never noticed one behind the under case before. I guess $8 gets you inside the case at Walmart. So that's what we got here, is the Ozark Trail, and the model name is just called Assisted Opening. So pretty simple there. So we will have a look at what you can get at Walmart for $8. Now let me start off by saying many of you, some of you, all of you even, may say it's a waste of time to talk about these knives on a video, and if it runs over 30 seconds it probably is over length, and you're probably right. But you know, being a knife guy and actually having business of selling knives and everything, you know, I am not snobby toward any price range of knives, and I've got lots of people I know, relatives, friends, that just don't have the money or will not spend the money on higher end knives. They don't see the point in it. They use them for working around the house, fishing, and working on the car, that kind of thing, and they figure any knife's going to get beat up, and, you know, why spend a lot of money? And so what I'm doing is, for those of you out there in that mindset, or those that are just getting into collecting knives and you're just looking for something that might be a good value to add to your collection, or just for getting started, we'll look. You know, I like looking at those kind of knives, and can point out what I think is good or not bad about them, and as well as mainly tell you whether it's a worthy value or not. Maybe you're better off going to the pawn shop and grabbing something out of, you know, old used one there of higher grade, or going to flea markets, or you know, there's knives you can spend $1 to $1,000 for a pocket knife. So with that said, let's get going. Alright, this is the one that was in the blister packs on the little hangy rack that they have, and it's a flipper that doesn't really, you have to give it some wrist to flip it, which is not that bad, but actually the action feels pretty good. It just does not, if you're just not going to get it flipped open without giving it some wrist. Now the thumb works real good. You can thumb flip it without much problem, and locks up nice and tight. So I don't know. I mean, there's no detent really. There's a little bit of detent in there, but you're not really having to push past that too much. It just does not get going. And I mean, and the action feels nice and loose. So it just takes a little bit of wrist, and there you go. So, you know, don't expect a lot for $5, but, and then this is the assisted opening that was in the case. So I get it home, and actually they didn't have one on display anymore in the case, so I went to a different Walmart, and they had one, and so I had them let me mess with it, and then they reached behind the counter and got me a box with a new one, so I didn't look at that one to compare it, but this one feels pretty much like the one that I looked at. This is Ozark Trail number 17, for those of you that want to look in the Walmart case for it. This one's assisted opening, and yeah, it's kind of weird. All right, here we go. It's going to make a liar out of me. It's popping open every time now. What I found it was doing for the most part was just I'd go, and then it'd kind of hesitate and then go. It kind of still does have a little hesitation in it, but it's actually flipping pretty good. So it feels like your typical assisted opening. I have used these for about a week. After getting them, just to try them out. And the duty they have seen has been cardboard cutting, opening boxes and cutting cardboard up and things like that. And this one I did put an edge on it. It didn't feel super sharp when I got it. It's not bad, but it sharpens up real easy. It's just a generic stainless steel. They don't lift the top or anything like that on either one of these. There's no markings on the blade as far as what type of steel, and the packaging just says stainless steel. So that's what you get. And this knife actually looks familiar. I may have even done a video on a knife like this one at some point, talking about cheap knives. I don't know, but as far as what they had in the case, I like the style of it okay. And it actually I've put an edge on it, and then I've cut quite a bit of cardboard with this one, and then also was working on some projects around the house, and used it scraping some putty off doing some plumbing work and all that, and it's actually still good and sharp. Sharpens real easy. Takes about 5 minutes to put a good edge on it. I have not tried it with this one. This one felt actually pretty sharp out of the box, sharp enough to use, and it's done well with cutting cardboard. I have not really used this one for anything other than cutting cardboard. So as you can see, the assisted opening pretty much works. It actually does not hesitate as much as it did when I first got out of the box. So that's good. Could be because I went in with some oil, and it's been sitting there with the oil on it, so I guess it finally loosened it up where it works actually really nice now. It feels like your typical Kershaw as far as the assisted opening. And it's got a little bit of, you're going against the spring right there, and then it'll pop open once it hits the assist. Okay, don't know if you can find specs on these. Not going to spend much time looking for it, but let's just look. Weight-wise, that one's 3.44. This one is coming in at 2.24, so this was nice and light. And this one actually, for the size, I want to stay under 4 ounces for carry, and this one does fit the bill with that. Length on it is get the ruler out here, and overall you're about 7, and the blade looks like about 3 inches, just under 3 inches of cutting surface, and just a little over 3 inches overall. And so that makes the handle just right a hair over 4 inches. So, and might as well do this one while we got it out here. And that one is going to be overall looking at about 6.5 with a overall 3-inch blade with about a 2 5/8 cutting surface and a 3.5-inch handle. So weight wise, not bad. Carry size, this one's a liner lock. As I said, it locks up nice and tight. That liner is right in the middle of that blade. There's no play in the blade. And centering's off a tad, but does not seem to affect its deployment or anything. This one does come with the tip down carry only, though it is a deep carry clip, and it's not adjustable left or right. This one is not movable either, but this one is tip up, and it's a deep carry clip as well. So it disappears into the pocket. Just putting it in my pocket, carried it around. Have not carried this knife, and probably wouldn't, other than just to see how it feels for a day in the pocket. But it does fit in the pocket nice from just trying it out. The liner lock locks up nice and tight. Good, about 50% on that. Centering on this one is just a hair off as well. And this one, blade's tight, no play in it at all. And this one does have the jimping on the back, and so it gives you a little bit of control. It's actually a decent design, and the execution is not bad. I mean, for an $8 knife, to be honest, I've looked at some $30, $40 knives that put out by some other manufacturers, and if you watch my videos, you can see who I might be referring to. I've been beating them up and don't want to beat them up anymore on here for this one, but this one also has some jimping there on the back. Give you a nice grip. Handle's a little shorter than I prefer, but not too bad. Don't feel too bad. This one's got a lot of texturing, so you feel like you have a nice grip on it. This one is just some kind of pot metal handle. I think they're probably wanting to maybe pass it off as aluminum, but it feels more like just some kind of pot metal. It doesn't really feel aluminum. It's kind of slick, but with the jimping in the back, and then you got some jimping here on the frame lock, so you get a pretty good grip on it. I imagine when your hands are wet or bloody or something like that, this would be pretty slick. But there we go. If you don't give it a good positive push on deployment, it will just kind of go out there a little bit and just kind of stop, or it'll go and just kind of go in slow motion. But if you give it a good positive push, it goes pretty good. Now on this one, the flipper is not part of the blade like most flipper knives. It's actually a separate piece. So you can see there it comes up when the blade kicks it up there. So it's on a pivot and you're just pushing the blade open. So it's not actually the blade that you're pushing. It's this little lever. I see that as being something, and you see it's got a little pin keeping it in there. Potential, at some point that thing pops off and you no longer have that as an option. But it does flip. Actually, flip works better as using the thumb studs. Doesn't take much to get into that assisted part, and there you go. It pops right open. All right, guys, that is about all the time I want to put on these. Just comparison size wise, there's some well-known knives. The Delica, we got the mini grip. This and the mini grip are pretty close in size. Delica and this one pretty close size wise. So that is sort of a Warncliffe looking blade on this one. So kind of gives you an idea of kind of where these fit size wise. So there you have it. So if you've seen the Ozark Trails and wondered if they're worth getting, my opinion is they are what they are. You know, $8 knife. You know, if you want a knife to just toss in the toolbox or the tackle box or something that will cut, you don't care if you damage it, lose it, if it gets rusty or anything like that, or if you do a job where, you know, they get gunked up pretty bad or something like that. You know, if you can get a few months out of each one of them, you know, you can buy them over and over and buy several of them before you spent as much as you would for a lot of other knives. And to be honest, as far as you know, quality, they're worth $5 for sure. I mean, when you hold it and everything, it has a cheaper feel to it. But I have seen a lot of knives in the $5 range that just ain't near as nice as that one. And for $8, I think this would be, you know, it's a good disposable knife. Not one I would ever take apart to fix or do anything like that. Just or even clean or anything like that. It's you know, these are disposable knives. You use them until they quit working, and then you go get another one, and you lose it, you drop it in the lake, you know, or whatever. Or you know, it's no big loss. You just go grab another one, and you got it. So for those of you just looking for something cheap, knock around junk knife, or if you're just getting started in collecting and you want to have some different styles and everything, and start building a collection of knives, and as you work towards you know, your desired knives and everything, these would be good starter knives to get for yourself, or as a gift for somebody that you would like to introduce to the hobby. All right, here we probably spent about we're about 17 minutes in, so that's probably about 16 minutes longer than these knives deserve. But just I do this because I like talking about knives and just looking at them and looking at them with you guys, and that's it. You know, hopefully you all hung with me and found this useful. If not, then hopefully you turned it off and go look at one of the other ones on maybe something I do have a review of that you care about. All right, guys, we'll see you guys next time.